Welcome to the New Life Stories channel. We hope you will have fun with us. Enjoy watching. This story stuck with me. It's been sticking with me for a couple weeks now. Well, I guess there's nothing to do, so I'll tell you. Here we go. The family moved into their house. You know, a 2-story one with a big clearing and a place to host big weekend get-togethers. Especially since it stood in the most picturesque place at the very edge of the forest near the river. A family of 2 people. A wife 7 months pregnant and a husband who served in one of the special units. So the alarm suitcase was always ready to leave on order. That's what happened this time. The husband was very worried about his wife and called his parents to come and stay with her until he returned. But as soon as he left, the wife called back and asked them not to come, reassuring them that she was feeling fine. That's the way it is. She just wanted to be alone. And the next day a blizzard swirled and covered everything around with snow. The storm tore up several trees and a communication tower, leaving everyone without cell phones. And she had to have felt it at the exact same time. She felt it coming. But there was nothing to do and nowhere to wait for help. So the wife took the keys and sat in the car, drove to the nearest town, where there was a hospital with a maternity ward. And she would make it. She would have made it. If she had put gas in the car. But man assumes and fate disposes. In general, most accidents and deaths are simply a combination of coincidence and bad luck. That's what happened. When the car stopped in the middle of the highway, the road was empty. And who goes out in a blizzard like this without an emergency? And there was an emergency. Feeling a sharp pain in her lower abdomen, the woman decided to get out and walk along the highway, hoping that a passing car would notice her. But after 50 meters she was lost and could neither see nor hear anything. The wind howled like a hungry wolf, throwing cold and prickly flakes of snow in her face. She turned left without noticing it, and found herself in the middle of a large field, not even knowing which way was the highway. And then it started. Moaning, she fell to the snow, praying to God for one thing only, that the child would stay alive. The she-wolf ran ahead of her pack. The she-wolf was the leader. Big, strong, confident, an excellent hunter, and angry as 100 devils at once. She had it all. Luck, respect, and fear of her subordinates. But no wolves. As soon as she paid attention to any wolf, it would turn to flee with its tail tucked. They were simply afraid of the pack leader who was quick to kill. Everything has a price. And power with success, too. Loneliness. The pack was walking through the snow. The she-wolf leader was in the lead, followed by the main helpers. In the center were the old wolves and the old she-wolf, and behind was the biggest and strongest wolf. His job was to make sure that none of the weaker members of the pack fell behind. The she-wolf was thinking her heavy and not happy thoughts when a strange and disturbing odor hit her nose. She stopped and raised her head. The whole pack stopped as well. The smell was completely unknown, but for some reason it alarmed her. She tensed and realized she had to hurry. She sped forward at a light jog and then a trot, and the pack followed her. The gray, swift arrow of the gray killers raced through the howling storm, and flakes of snow crashed against the powerful chest of the leader of the wolves. She was paving the way for everyone else. Suddenly, a woman appeared before the she-wolf's eyes. The she-wolf became as stooped and lowered her head to the very snow that covered everything around her. The woman screamed and said something. The old she-wolf approached the woman who had stopped and fallen to her knees, and rubbed her nose against her neck and muttered something softly. And then the she-wolf leader raised her head and let out a long howl, addressing her pack. You may not believe me, but I know they're talking. I know it well. And the pack circled close to the woman in labor, the wolves covering her from the wind that was trying to snatch the last crumbs of life from her. The old and young she-wolves came closer and waited for the baby to appear. And when the woman screamed especially loudly, the newborn was lying in the snow. The old she-wolf came up and gently chewed the umbilical cord, and the young one nudged the baby toward the mother with her nose. The woman stretched out her arms and took the baby, and then her left hand touched the she-wolf's head. She didn't remove her hand. There was no fear. What else could she be afraid of? She was alone with her newborn in the middle of a snow-covered field, surrounded by a pack of wolves. The she-wolf nudged her hand with her head from the bottom up, and for a second their eyes met, human eyes and wolf eyes, for 1 second, 1 instant, and it seemed to the woman that the she-wolf's eyes were smiling. "Thank you," the woman said, and cradled the child against her. And then the she-wolf clung to her, and all the wolves of her pack clung to her mother, giving her their warmth. But the storm, the tempest, and the fierce wind, fortunately, were already calming down. There was silence, and the highway became visible. As it turned out, it was very near, about 50 meters away, and there were 3 sheriff's cars, and he and his deputies were running around, looking for the woman who had gotten out of the car. They saw a pack of wolves, and the sheriff, pulling out his gun, gave a shot in the air. The pack ran away from the woman and stopped not far away, and in front stood the she-wolf leader and calmly, without fear, looked at the people. "Oh, my God! Oh, my God!" the sheriff screamed. "They killed her! They killed her!" And he rushed to the woman, sinking knee-deep in the snow, followed by his assistants. When they got there, they saw the mother alive and the newborn. "1,000 devils," marveled the sheriff. "This can't be." He turned back to the pack of wolves and met his eyes with the head she-wolf. She looked straight and calm, no fear or worry in her eyes. Don't shoot anyone," shouted the sheriff, and the deputies lowered their guns. They lifted the exhausted woman in their arms and carried her to the cars. And the she-wolf stood there, staring after them. Some new feeling swelled in her chest. It was so good and pleasant that she raised her big and beautiful muzzle and howled long, and the wolf answered her, the same one who was leading the pack so no one would fall behind. He came and stood beside her, and for the first time in her life the she-wolf did not growl. She suddenly, unexpectedly rubbed her nose against his side and ran, where her instincts led her, and the pack followed. A gray arrow flying across the silent white desert, and it was beautiful. And the woman, lingering by the car and holding her child with her right hand, waved and cried. Sometimes an angel can come in the form of a big, strong, and evil as 100 devils wolf. Come and save a life. That's the story. If you were interested in this story, please share your thoughts in the comments, and maybe you'll want to subscribe to our channel. Thank you all.